So in this tutorial, we'll take a look at actually putting in our countertops in our kitchen. And then we'll do the same thing in the bathrooms. In the laundry room, we'll have countertops, maybe even an island. It looks like there might be enough room for maybe for an island in the laundry room. But anyway, if you have any experience with SketchUp, you know how easy it is to make what's called an extrusion. And that's what we're going to do here, is to make some extrusions. Now take a look at the countertop here. What do we have? We have to define a perimeter of the countertop, and we have to apply a thickness to it, and that's called an extrusion. So basically what I'm going to do now that I have my guidelines put in there is I'm going to go up to the architecture tab, and I'm going to go over to the component icon, but there's a drop down there, and I'm going to drop down and say model in place. So we're going to model this in place now. I have to put it in a particular family, and I generally put my countertops in the casework family, but you could also do it in the generic if you wanted to. This will help you when you want to turn families on and off like you would turn layers on and off in AutoCAD, but I'll put it in the casework family. Revit's automatically going to call it casework 1. And then the next one will be casework 2, casework 3. And you can change that to any name that you want to, but I just leave it alone. That's fine. So now Revit wants to know, what do you want to do? You told me that you want to make a your own component. What you're going to model it in place. What of these options here do you want to do now? Do you want to make a void, or do you want to make an extrusion or a sweep? And we'll cover all of those other options at a later time. But right now, I'm going to make an extrusion. And so basically Revit says, well, give me the outside perimeter. So I'll use the rectangle or square icon. And there's my perimeter of my countertop. And then Revit wants to know, okay, relative to the work plane, which is the first floor, where do you want this extrusion to end? And countertops are generally 3 feet tall, and countertops are, in this case, we'll make the countertop 2 inches thick, which means that it's going to start 2 inches below 3 feet, or 2 feet 10 inches. Okay. Now I can give it a category. Let's see what we have available here. In that tutorial, I made it green marble. I've customized the particular material, and I have another green marble here, but I'm going to just use tile because we can see it better. And we can always go back and change it later, but if I put it in as tile, it will show up for you to see a little bit better. So I'll use this porcelain 4-inch tile. Now, tile is a horrible material to use on a countertop because it has grout between the tile squares, which makes it very hard to clean. Generally, you would want a smooth surface like a marble or a granite, ideally, or a plastic laminate that has a smooth surface without the grout lines in it. That's not a good choice of materials, and I'll change it later, but I'll leave it like this now because of the way it will appear on the screen, and I think that'll help a little bit. So, okay, I like what I have here. I can't do them all at one time. I have to do them individually because they have to be closed entities. So I will accept that. And now you can see that it's put the tile in there. But more importantly, I'm going to come over to this 3D and actually use the camera to show you what I have just done. So I'll put the camera right here, and I'm going to take a picture in this direction. And now you can see that I put this countertop in. It is 3 feet off the ground. Whoops. Let's go back and take a look at that again. I'll highlight this, and now when I rotate this by holding down the shift key and the mouse button straight down and then moving the mouse around, it allows me to spin it. But it's rotating now about this object, whereas before it was rotating about some other place in space, which made it really difficult. So that's my first countertop. Let's go back and put some more in. So it looks good to me. I'm going to finish that. And we're going to go back to the floor plan here. And I'll do it again. Architecture, drop down of the component to say I'm going to model it in place. We'll still use it as casework, but now look what happens. Revit adds the number 2 after that. They're calling it casework 2. I'll say, okay, back to extrusion. I will just draw this one this time. So I'm going to draw the perimeter first. And it's very simple because I put those guidelines in there. And I will see that it defaults back to the same height and the same material. So everything looks good. I'll just say okay to that and okay to that. And let's take a look again with the camera what I just did. So I'll put that camera back here, point it in this direction. And now you can see that I have put in 2 countertops. And I spin it around a little bit and you can see that. So let's go back to the first floor, put our third and final countertop in, over to component, go to the drop down, model in place. I'm still putting it in the casework family. Now it's the name of that one is casework 3. Revit's adding another number every time. You can change the name if you want to, but I don't see any advantage to it, although there may very well be an advantage to that. And now I'm going to do an extrusion again. Well, I guess I can use this square now. I'll pick these 2 corners. It's defaulted to what I had set for the last 2. 3 foot is the extension end, 2 foot 10 is the extension beginning. I'm still going to use the same material. I'll say okay. I'll say okay. And I'll put that camera in and let's see what we just did here. Here we go. I'll highlight that so that it rotates about that object, and there's my countertops. I have just placed in an extrusion by defining the perimeter and then giving it a depth and defining the perimeter, giving it a depth, picking the material. Let's take a look at that in realistic. Maybe it'll look a little bit better. Not really. You can see the 3 countertops there. Okay, well, so that'll be the end of this tutorial. Very quickly, put your countertops. If you have an island, put the island in there, and that will be the end of this one.